All right, y'all. Welcome back. Welcome back to another episode of hashtag CB99 Talks. This is episode 87. Of course, I'm Combo Breaker 99. All right, y'all. Back once again with another episode. Got a pretty good episode for y'all. Lot to talk about in this one. Definitely a few different topics. I really want to hit on because it's been a crazy past couple of weeks in the sport of WMMA, and of course, at the time of this recording, it is like 2 nights away from one of the biggest fights in the strawweight division. Y'all know what I'm talking about, Amanda Lemos and Jessica Andrade. So before we get started, make sure y'all subscribe here to the YouTube channel, Combo Breaker 99. And if you want to hear this show and you always want to keep up with this show, because like I said, I'm going to probably start posting it up here more exclusively, just follow hashtag CB99 Talk, subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play, and Tuned In, all of that. Anywhere you hear a podcast or listen to podcasts, that's where you can go listen to this show. Because like I said, I'm gonna probably start just posting it up here just for the people that, listen on the road, or, they just want to hear me talk and not just, hear the regular live stream. So this is this is what I'm gonna probably start doing pretty soon, y'all. Maybe when I hit 100 episodes, I'll probably do that. So yeah, man, welcome back, y'all. I feel like it's been a minute since I did a show like this, just sitting back and, just me talking about the sport of WMMA. But then again, it has, because I'm always doing videos and I'm always on live streams with y'all. So yeah, man, past couple of weekends been good, been good for the sport, good boxing matches as well. Errol Spence and Ugas, that was a fight in boxing I've been looking forward to. That fight went down. What do we have a weekend before that? We had Tisha Torres, Mackenzie Dern. I know that fight didn't go the way I wanted, as far as how the decision went. You know how it is. But yeah, man, this episode, I just kind of want to go all the way back 2 weeks ago, talk about some things this week, and just talk about the future that lies ahead, for WMMA, just some different things, So just talking about the past, present, future. That's what this episode is. Because with Tisha, I want to talk about, even though she lost the fight, I want to talk about what I feel like she needs to do moving forward. What she needs to do moving forward if she really wants to, compete and be seen as a threat in the strawweight division, right? Or not even just a threat, but just if she wants to continue to thrive, right? So let's talk about that. Rocky Pennington, she was able to win a couple weeks ago as well. I want to just talk about her as a whole. Combate Global, I just want to put some shine on the ladies, and y'all know what fight I want to talk about, because I got to recommend that fight to y'all. I posted the clip up, but it's like on the short vids. But I want to go back and talk about that. Then I'll post the clip up, later, maybe in another video. But who else? This past weekend, we had Sam Hughes. She was able to bounce back, get a victory. So let's talk about Sam a little bit. Chookagian, Ribas, this whole, this whole matchup in general. I want to just discuss that and the energy of Ribas. Grasso calling out Jennifer Maia. De La Rosa versus Barber. We definitely got to talk a little bit about that. And then Lemos Andrade, So a lot to discuss. I'm going to just hit on a little bit of everything. I ain't going to talk y'all's ears off, but just kind of want to go in on some different points here. So, yeah, man, this past weekend, like I said, was pretty good for the sport. Of course, this weekend is. Let's talk about that real quick. This weekend, starting with Friday, is crazy. It's going to be a crazy weekend for WMMA. I mean, 3 headliners. All 3 headliners are WMMA matches. Y'all know that, right? This Friday coming, 22nd, we got the champion, Bellator flyweight champion, Juliana Velasquez taking on Liz Carmouche, right? So you got that fight. That's the only women's fight on the card, but, still, that's big. That's a big thing. And then on Saturday, of course, you have Bellator featherweight champion Chris Cyborg taking on Arlene Blinko in a rematch, right? Not the biggest fight, not the most challenging fight for the champion, but, still, it's a main event, right? Then you got 4 other fights on the card. You got Lima Lay McFarlane and Justine Keech. I think Samiko Inaba's on this card. So let me see. You got a couple of other fights, up and comers on the roster. Then you got Janae Harding on there. So yeah, man. Diana Silva's taking on Janae Harding. Yeah, you got an all around good card. So I'm gonna definitely be tuning in, calling some of these fights. Then, of course, on Saturday, UFC Fight Night. Let me double check here. Yeah, we only got 2 on this one, but they're still good. Yeah, you still got Barber versus De La Rosa, and of course Lemos Andrade. So yeah, major weekend for WMMA. All the women, all the ladies there headlining. That's big, So shout out to all of them. Everybody from Andrade, Cyborg, Velasquez, Carmouche, all of them. So that's big, man. Hopefully it can do good things for the sport. That's why I was saying, a couple of days ago in a live stream, it's important, though. It's important that these women go in there and win over fans, because the average MMA fan is very fickle. The average MMA fan, he's very, very fickle. They like to get up during most WMMA fights, go get the beer, go shoot the ish, or they like to just talk during these fights and they don't want to take time to learn. So much like Whaley and Joanna did, everybody on this card, they have to perform to a high level. And I'm not saying they got to go in there and get knocked out or go in there and like swell up each other's heads on purpose, but they have to make the casual fans tune in or this won't happen again. Let's be real. Well, we can already say Lemos and Andrade, they're kind of exempt to a certain extent because Lemos is finishing people. Andrade finishes people. Pound for pound, one of the, toughest, most exciting women in the sport of WMMA, right? So those two, they're already pretty settled where they are. They could headline again. But Chris, she's taking on, I know, an opponent in Blinko she's seen before. So Blinko, I feel like she needs to go in there and step her game up to a level where she can make this competitive, make it dangerous for Chris, make it dramatic, so the fans, they'll all be talking about this fight. Now, I know that seems crazy to y'all, but that's what I'm saying they need to do to make the fans say we need more women headlining cards, right? Then on this side, Juliana Velasquez, Liz Carmouche, both known as overly cautious fighters. Everybody goes back, talks about Carmouche and her performance against Valentina Shevchenko, and they're not impressed, right? A lot of people said that they were right to cut her. I didn't think they were right to cut her off of that loss to Shevchenko, but some people feel that way because, again, the average fan says, if you ain't fighting, then you need to go, right? You needs to go. So she needs to go in there and press the action, get in there and make this fight competitive, make it exciting. Juliana Velasquez can't take rounds off. She has to go in there, be explosive at times, make herself look like the dominant fighter, be threatening, be like Manon goes in there, like these fighters like Manon and Taylor Santos. You got to go in there and, show that dominance, because if you don't, you won't be headlining cards anymore, right? So yeah, good weekend for WMMA. Very, very, very impressed with the choice this weekend that in the path a lot of these ladies have taken to get here. So I'm definitely looking forward to this. Like I said, you rarely get this three WMMA fights headlining cards. That's solid. So yeah, they just have to go in there and make sure they perform so this happens again, right? So yeah, going back a couple of weeks, like I said, as y'all know, let's go ahead and talk about this. Tecia Torres, she didn't get the victory over Mackenzie Dern. A lot of people, a lot of fans, a lot of media, including myself, felt like or thought that Tecia Torres did enough to win the fight. But doing enough is not enough when you're facing somebody like Mackenzie Dern that, of course, I think the overall machine of the UFC and the judges in general, they feel like a fighter like Mackenzie Dern is good for the sport. So when it comes down to just technical skills, it's not enough where you just go in there and say, I can outpoint this person or outland them. You have to be pressing the fight. You have to have some type of look. You have to have what they want. You have to have the machine behind you, and that's Mackenzie Dern, right? So, like I said, for Tecia Torres, going into certain fights, going into this fight, you're battling 4 people. Y'all know what I mean. Y'all know what I mean. Y'all heard me say this before. You got 4 opponents. Dern and those 3 judges ringside or octagon side, cage side, right? Those are your enemies. Those are your opponents. So moving forward for Tecia Torres, since this fight didn't go her way, some people ask me, I was asking myself this, what does Tecia Torres have to do moving forward in the future to be a more dominant fighter, to gain wins with her style, you know? And the one thing I can say is, okay, well, I've done a video a little while back, maybe I think it was like last summer, I think. Yeah, whenever Angela Hill was taking on Tecia Torres, matter of fact. So Ticia's kind of in the same category as Angela Hill, if you really think about it. Like, whenever doing their rematch, it's kind of the same thing that I said about Angela Hill. You know, Angela Hill is a fighter that doesn't go in there and knock a lot of people out. She doesn't submit people. You know, she's usually fighting on points, fighting behind fighters when she's in there. And she usually gets robbed, or, you know, she either lets these fights slip away from her. So for Tecia Torres, even though she's able to beat Angela Hill and get to that next level, she needs to kind of follow suit to what I said in that past video. And that's to learn how to master the point fighting style. You know, you have to go in there and master that point fighting style like Katlyn Chookagian has. You know, Katlyn Chookagian is a fighter that hasn't stopped anybody in the UFC. Fought everybody pretty much. You know, won some, won a lot, lost some. But for the most part, when she takes fights to the distance, you can pretty much tell when she's won a fight or outclassed her opponent. You know, she's just not in it to, you know, touch, go, right? She's in there to kind of overwhelm you, outwork you, outstrike you, and just frustrate you, right? See, Tecia doesn't necessarily really frustrate a lot of fighters. You know, she has speed and she has the volume, but most of the times, like, I went back and watched a lot of her fights. You know, I've seen pretty much all of them, but I just went back and watched a couple. It's like she's always outscoring a lot of fighters, you know, touching them and getting their respect to a certain extent, but she's never really like rattling or hurting them or even like overwhelming to the point that they stop chasing her. You know, there's a lot of fighters out there that still keep coming at her. Like even Angela Hill did, Rose has, the fighters that she's defeated, like, let's see, who else has she defeated? Like, okay, it's Angela Hill twice. Michelle Waterson was one too, right? Michelle Waterson, she defeated her. Paige, you know, way back in her early days. You know, those fighters she could overwhelm with speed, but she never really hurt them and got their respect to get them to stop. So for Tecia Torres moving forward, I think she just has to be more of an offensive fighter. You know, she has to sit down on her shots. You know, she has to make every punch that she throws. She has to make those shots have bad intentions on it. Let's be real, you know, like Manny Pacquiao, you know, she's in and out like that. You know, you got to sit down on those shots. You got to make those calf kicks hurt. Andrade, she's a tiny little tank. She makes her shots count. Nobody's saying that she can actually try to pack that power, but she's got to start turning over shots, and she's got to lean into them more to make those fighters respect her, right? Not only respect her, but to make the judges respect those shots, you know? Because, like, this fight here, you know, she was touching Mackenzie Dern a lot. Like, the most effective shots I thought she got reactions out of Mackenzie Dern were the push kicks, you know, to the chest and to the body. But when she would touch her with those overhand rights, and she was, like, leaning into him, I was like, whoa, where's the power? Like, she hasn't rattled Mackenzie Dern yet. And Mackenzie Dern is wide open, too. So I was like, oh, like, Ticia's taking too much power off here. She's so much, you know, she's so much in a mode to get out of the way, which isn't good. You know, you still have to sit down on your punches to get your opponent's respect and then get out of harm's way. Don't just focus on getting out of harm's way or being worried about Mackenzie Dern, the threat of her jiu-jitsu, you know? Because I think, like we saw, Ticia's wrestling will save her. Her strength will save her. So she will have to take more chances. And that leads to my next thing. I think moving forward, she has to take a few more chances in there. Nobody's saying, again, you got to stick your chin out, go out there and get knocked out. No, like, Tecia just has to take a few more chances of making her style more of more mid-range and meeting in the middle and less from the outside. You know, learn how to strike at mid-range, step side to side more, and stop focusing on getting out of dodge all the time or just staying on the bite. Like, I think there's plenty of times in there, like if she threw harder shots, threw it more pop on her shots, Mackenzie Dern would have felt those shots and wouldn't have kept coming after her. Like, she wouldn't have to gone on the bike as much. You know, Tisha Torres has gone on the bike a lot in this fight and let Mackenzie Dern chase her. Where if she would have stayed in the pocket, not in the pocket, but stayed in like mid range and baited her in and landed some good uppercuts or like straight punches down the middle, that'll make Mackenzie Dern stop in her feet, stop in her tracks, make her think it twice about coming in, and the judges will see that. They're like, okay, Mackenzie Dern stopped moving. She stopped moving. She can't get in there. Like, her work rate's going down. Why? Because Tisha is sitting down on her punches now, right? She's sitting down on her flurries and she's standing her ground. So those are just a few of the things I think moving forward Tisha Torres has to do to be competitive in this elite part of the strawweight division. You know, she has to sit down on her punches more, be more aggressive, you know, stand her ground, like I said, and, you know, just really, really turn off the, let's say, you know, stay off the bike. You know, just stay off the bike. You know, she's got to start sitting down on those shots so she can get some more finishes, because you really can't leave it in the hands of the judges now, right? Especially for her. So yeah, those are just a few of the things that I kind of picked up. Like I said, I was a little upset that she didn't get the nod, but the more I think about it and just see her resume, I'm like, yeah, she does have a lot of decisions here, and the way she fights, you know, it's fun to watch, but it's not fun when you're not getting the victory, especially whenever the judges don't see it that way. So I said, yeah, moving forward, yeah, Tisha has to change some things in there to be competitive and get these, you know, elite fighters their respect. You know, you got to do something where you're a little bit more powerful to get Zhang Wei Li's respect, Joanna's respect, Marina's respect moving forward, Andrade, again, Esparza. You know, you got to start standing your ground in there. And, you know, and I think for Tisha, they expect her to move backwards. So if she's moving back, you know, always moving backwards, and they know that they can assert their dominance on her. So I think Tisha needs to really start crafting her style to be a little bit more power oriented, you know, throwing more overhand rights like she does, but really putting her body into it where she can knock fighters out like, you know, Love It the Young does, even on the lower level. You know, she has power in her hands. So yeah, I just, you know, did a little research, like I said, and just put it together and said, okay, you know, well, if she wants to keep competing, you know, this is what Tisha's going to have to do to stay in the, you know, stay in the top 5 or stay in the top 10, or to, you know, just not leave it in the hands of the judges, right? So yeah, those are the things I'd say. You know, somebody asked me, like, what does Tisha need to do moving forward? I'd say she's got to hit a little bit harder. You got to sit down on your shots. You got to make them count. Be more of a finisher just to avoid the judges, right? And you got to stand your ground. You really got to stand your ground, especially if you're as strong as you are. Like, there's really no need to stay on the bike. You just have to really stand your ground. And like I said, just start finishing people, right? But yeah, man, let me know in the comment section what y'all thought when I post this little segment up here. But let's see here. Next thing I want to talk about real quick. Yeah, Rocky Pennington, man. Also, you know, she's one of those fighters that I talked about, like Sarah McMahon. You know, she's also one of those old heads. I did a video on a couple weeks ago. You know, she got her victory over Aspen Ladd. And there was no way I could pick against Rocky. Like I said, Rocky's one of those fighters, you know, that I think just gets better. And if she's not getting better, it's the fact that the fighters that we think are next level, they're not as good, right? They need to get some work done. Not saying they're bad fighters, but it's like they need to get more work in and they need to improve. Like Macy Chiasson. You know, Macy Chiasson, you know, she wasn't ready for that level of Rocky, even at 145. You know, that's why when I watched that, went back and watched more fights of Rocky, I was like, okay, Rocky's got that jab, boy. She's got it down. That clinch game is no joke, you know? So those two basic things that she's been building off of, you know, the past 6, 7, 8 years in the game, there hasn't really been any fighter that's really mastered their jab the way she has. Like, no fighter's really been mastering it bantamweight like that, or even the clinch game, aside from Lena Landsberg and like Sarah McMahon maybe, and Juliana Pena, of course. Like the high levels, yeah, they have, but like where Rocky's fighting right now, these fighters like Aspen, even though she was ranked high, Chason, they're not really ready for that type of veteran work that they're being dished out from like the Rockies and Lena Landsberg. Lena Landsberg put a good clinch game on Macy Chason. So Rocky, I was impressed with her work rate, man, and that's what I gotta say, man. Like Rocky, Sarah McMahon, they can stay. Fighters like that can stay. I mean, we feel like the division's dry. They've been there, done that. But as long as they keep holding it down, I'm not knocking them. I can't knock Rocky at all because they have something to offer. They've got experience that these other fighters can't handle. And that's what I said. Like, when you look at the flyweight division, the fighters that they've been signing, the fighters that have been coming in, they've been retiring a lot of their flyweights because they're ready. They're ready. They're advancing. Bantamweight, we see the difference here. Some of these fighters, they haven't made the necessary adjustments in these fights and improvements that can handle the rest of the Sarah McMahon, or like the overall physical strength of Sarah McMahon. They don't know how to shut down Rocky's jab or her right hand. Her boxing skill is too much for them. So what happens? They stay. Whether you like them or not, you think they're boring or not, they stay because they're still that good. It's like a job. Like, you might not like a person on the job, but if they're showing up on time and they're getting the job done, they don't need to go anywhere. But the day they start slacking and making a lot of there's a lot of hiccups because of them, they're sleeping on the job or something like that, then we say, okay, this job ain't for them. They got to go, right? But other than that, I mean, just because you don't like a style, it's like, I can't say this person has to go. When they start, getting damaged and racking up losses and missing weight, then we'll talk, right? But yeah, Rocky Pennington, she got it done. She got it done. Moving on from here, Sarah McMahon had called her out, I think, so that would be a good fight to make. Maybe the winner of that fight gets to fight Juliana Pena. I mean, that would be good. Sarah McMahon would get her redemption chance against Juliana Pena. Question is, can she turn it up though? And I mean, Sarah McMahon has been looking she did look impressive in her last fight, but she has been looking the part, like she's ready to go back in there and give it one more shot at 40 years old. So I can't knock that. But Rocky, definitely, like, that's just Amanda Nunes, y'all. Like, Amanda Nunes is going to do that to her. That's just that type of style. But other than that, Rocky's got a lot to offer from where she stands. I mean, these other bantamweights, they're just running the test. And if they can't beat her, then that means they got work to do, not her. But yeah, man, a couple of Fridays ago also, Combate Global. This was a good card, man. It had like 4 WMMA fights on there. Shout out to everybody on the card, but let me pull it up here. Just want to run through it real quick as far as who won. But let me give y'all that lowdown on that one fight if y'all still haven't seen it. Let's see. Yeah, it was like 1, 2, 3, 4 fights. Combate Global, they've been bringing the women to the forefront as well. They had an all women's card like a little while back. I want to say last summer, right? So they've been bringing a lot of action. I wouldn't mind seeing somebody like what is her name? Amanda Serrano over there, something like that. I know Amanda Serrano's fought for. Did she ever fight for Octagon? I can't remember where she fought for, but it was like lower level too. It was like one of the lower level organizations. I think I watched her on that card, Abigail Montez, and so on. But yeah, that would be a good place for her to be. Yasmin Harige, she's a strawweight. Y'all hear me talking about her. Yeah, overall they just been bringing on the action. Chantel Coates was there, but this weekend we had, let's see, going down the list here. Andrea Amaro versus Caroline Cordoba. Amaro was able to get a TKO victory in that one over Cordoba. Bianca Mares got a unanimous decision over Fior Chavez. And let me see, the main event for the women, it was Claudia Diaz versus Manuel Marcaneto. Marcaneto got a decision over Claudia. But the highlight of this fight, man, the highlight of this card, oh, man. Anna Summers getting that, Kimura, first round Kimura over Orlando Galindo. Wow. I mean, if y'all want to really, really hear snap, crackle, pop, that's the fight right there. Oh, wow. I mean, I'm just looking at it right now. Anna Summers, she put that Kimura, and she probably, it wasn't the fact that I don't think she really knew her own strength, but it was just the force, the bit of a force that she had put on it as Galinda was kind of trying to shift to, get out of it. And you could just hear that arm pop. But first off, let's say, shout out to Anna Summers. Shout out to Galindo. She's a tough young fighter. I think she's only like 18, 19. But wow, that's quite an introduction. That's quite an introduction into the sport of MMA for her, man. 19 years old. She's been posting some videos. She's recovering right now. She was laid up like last week, just letting the arm heal up. But I mean, Anna Summers came out, flying, letting everything fly, like letting all kinds of kicks out. It's that karate. She was throwing head kicks, leg attacks, push kicks, backing Galinda up. Galindo, she wanted to push her way into a clinch, but, Summers was just too fast, landing some nice knees on the inside at a range. Summers was just landing these kicks all around, like everywhere. Galindo let loose with a barrage of her own, trying to overwhelm Summers, right? And gets a big takedown, but it's Summers who quickly locks that armbar up. She doesn't get it, but she goes for another, loses it, right? Locks in a triangle, and you can see, like, Summers showing her level here. Like, Anna Summers has the jiu-jitsu here. She's got the stand-up game. Here, she's just flowing like water. She's going from armbar to lock in a triangle to go back to another armbar to a Kimura. And when she gets that Kimura, man, as Galinda tries to raise her head up, she pops that arm, and you can just hear it snap. I mean, literally, like, from where the camera was positioned. Well, of course, there's audio closer, but just from where it was like you were sitting all the way in the back, and you just hear that, like, it was just like a crack and a snap. You just hear it, and you just see it pop out of location. It's like she's turning down, like, one of these valves you have, like, you just turn it down like a crank, and it just pops. It's like it's rusty, but you just pop it, and it just snaps down, right? So when she does that, Galindo gets up, and Summers, she's already starting to hug her because I guess she feels bad about what just happened, but the adrenaline is still running for Galindo in that next 5 seconds, right? Or 2-3 seconds. Like, she just gets up from it, and, the referee, he's waving it off because he sees it. So Galinda, all of a sudden, you just hear this scream. You just hear the scream, and believe me, I'll post it up here just so y'all will see it. But, yeah, she just lets out this, like, horrific scream, and you're like, wow, like, wow, did that just happen? And it just really turns your stomach. So that is definitely the highlight of this episode. I haven't done that in a while. Highlight finish of the episode. Anna Summers, gruesome Kimura. Oh, man. Just gruesome Kimura over Orlando Galindo. Vicious, man. Vicious. But, yeah, y'all just definitely got to check that out. So, Combate Global, they're bringing it. They're bringing some action. I'm definitely going to be tuning in. Of course, something like that ain't going to happen all the time. But I was impressed with Anna Summers and her moves all around, though. So, yeah, definitely check that out, y'all. So, yeah, I definitely like Combate Global. I've definitely been enjoying their fights. I think there's supposed to be a card this weekend or next couple of weeks. I'm not sure, but I'll keep y'all posted. But, yeah, what else do we have? Last weekend, shout out to Sam Hughes. Sam Hughes was able to bag her first victory over Estela Nunes. She was on a 3-fight losing streak, as y'all know. And I ain't gonna lie, look, I'm a fan of Sam Hughes, definitely talked to her, done an interview, but I definitely had to say I believed in her in this fight. I couldn't pick against her because I knew that she had that danger factor there. There's just some moments where in the past you've seen her kind of start slow. She's getting it, though. She's getting it. That's what it is. She's definitely getting it. And I think she's starting to put it together that, look, this is UFC level. I got to go in there and go for mine, And after a slow start, shaky first round against Estela Nunes, I think Sam Hughes got that wake-up call and said, yo, I got to get this. This could be it, right? And I think a lot of people said that too, like, racking up her fourth loss, she could be out of here, right? So Sam Hughes did what she had to do. She went in there, said, look, I got to put it together. I'm going to pick my pace up, and she did that in the next 2 rounds, with takedowns, using the wrestling, good timing, good jab, and good right hand. And I know that the switchover, she had a switchover from her trainer. I'm going to see if I can find some of this information here. But she actually had to switch over. I think she just kind of had like I think the article said like a breaking point with her trainer. And she, just had to move on. They had to move on. Let me see if I can find it. But while I'm looking for that, Estela Nunes, I was kind of leaning towards, I can understand where a lot of people were leaning towards her, but I haven't really seen like a lot to impress me or think she could fight at this UFC level, especially after that Carmouche loss. There was still some work that I needed to see from her. Before that, she was on like a two-year layoff. Yeah. Okay, so here's the article. It says, Sam Hughes ecstatic with a recent win, was at a breaking point with previous coach before moving to Fortis MMA, right? So let's see. Let's just kind of read through this here. She says Sam Page ultimately came away with a majority decision after a slow start. Sam Hughes said she hits very hard. Let's see. I just felt like I was too slow, too hesitant, not firing first, which was the game plan. So, yeah, that's one of the things I've always said over here, right? Too slow, too hesitant, not firing first. Moving forward, you gotta be first. So, let's see. Definitely felt like the momentum shifted once I saw that. Oh, when she got that fight on the ground. Hold on. Yeah, there was multiple eye gouges in there as well. Okay, she said, look, I went out and I had a goal, and Saif and Charles and Alex, they all helped me. Everybody at Fortis, they were so amazing, so I couldn't be happier. There's a lot of things I had to work through in that process of getting better as a martial artist, as well as dealing with a lot of trauma and things that happened in my previous camps. I wasn't happy out there for about 3 or 4 years. It boiled down to control and manipulation and things like that. Wow. I guess she's not really going into a lot of detail, but she said hit a breaking point with her former camp around the time of the Pinheiro fight. Use those earnings from that short notice bout to uproot her life in the U.S. Capitol and head for greener pastures in Texas. Unfortunately, I needed money at that point. That's never a good thing. You never want to accept a fight for that reason, but it got me to where I am, and I'm so thankful. Let's see. So as of right now, I don't know what's going to happen. Okay. Yeah, so, sometimes you have to do that, right? Sometimes you have to get out before it really kind of turns you away from the sport, right? You have to get out, find someone you can build with, find somebody you have the chemistry with, find somebody you can build that, that teacher-student relationship with, that coach, protege, coach-fighter relationship with, to keep the love alive and keep the hope alive so you can get better as a fighter, right? Because if you're just going through the motions and nobody's really helping you and you can't really soak up game, then I think you won't ever advance, right? So you have to make choices and switch camps for those particular reasons. Like, you just can't pick up and leave a camp if you lose and you don't know who's to blame, right? Like, some people, like, they're quick to point a finger when they're first lost and they say, oh, it's your fault, I'm out of here. They think it's the coach. Like, sometimes, look, that kind of mindset, you have to understand, okay, it ain't time for me to go, right? Because wherever I go, the problem is still going to be in this gym and that gym and this gym. Why? Because it's me, right? But for Sam Hughes, she's definitely, she knows it's not her. It's the people around her. It's the toxic environment, like she was saying in this interview, that's making her say, okay, I got to get up. I got to go over here because this ain't working. This ain't working. Things aren't changing. Things aren't improving. So once you give it a chance after 2 or 3 times, and that's when you say, okay, it's time to go, right? Sometimes you'll see it on the first try, but no, this time she said, okay, let me give it a chance. It didn't work. So shout out to Sam Hughes for finding that out, because that's what you have to do, right? But moving forward, she's definitely going to have to take that advice of being first, pulling the trigger, letting her hands go, making yourself dominant. That's a word that always comes up, right? When I talk about fighters now, dominant, because that's where I'm gauging it off of. When I'm looking at what fighters need to move forward what bones they need is that defense bone, dominance bone, and discipline bone, right? You need all of them bones in you, man, because if you don't, if you lack one, you might can make it with the other two, but you really need something else to help you along the way, right? But you really need those three bones to be that complete fighter that can not deter you from anything, right? If you have all three of those, you can pretty much safely say, well, you'll pass, you'll get to that next level, right? So hopefully she can develop all of those bones with this new camp that she's with, right? So yeah, Stella Nunes, she's got work to do. You know, some of y'all say she's like Viviana Araujo, you know, starts off sharp, kind of loses steam. Not a bad analogy. Definitely not a bad comparison. I mean, yeah. So Stella Nunes got some work to do. Montserrat Ruiz, anyone for Sam Hughes, that'd be a good fight. That fighter is definitely going to make Sam, I think, push her and test herself. Somebody coming straight at you like that, you have to let your hands go then. Let that jab go. Sam's got a great jab, you know, let it go. And that's a fight that's going to make her have to work. That'll teach you to let your hands go, right? All right. Moving on. May 14th, we've got a great fight that all of y'all want to see so badly, right? Just like me. Caitlin Chookagian versus Caitlin Chookagian versus Amanda Ribas, right? Talked about this fight a few times. Actually, I still got another video I need to put out just talking about Amanda Ribas' energy for this fight, because Amanda Ribas is making me kind of like this fight a little bit more. I mean, my first reaction, I don't really care for it just because there's so many other good fights like Chookagian, Manon, Ribas versus Yan Xiaonan, Ribas versus the winner of Lemos Andrade at some point. And just because there's a lot going on at flyweight right now that doesn't really need any other strawweights. But if Ribas keeps carrying that energy and wants to stay at 125, I have no problem with that, you know. But I'm starting to like it because we don't know what could happen here. You know, Caitlin Chookagian just re-signed. You know, she has a new contract. This is her first fight on here. I'm not sure how many fights that she has on her contract, but this fight could be interesting. It could be interesting here, you know. Ribas at 125. Don't really know what type of power and strength that she'll carry up. I mean, when she fought Paige Van Zandt, that's not really a good gauge there because it's not like a Andrea Lee or Jennifer Maia fight, right? But she finished Paige in that fight. But can she finish a big, tall, long, awkward striker like Caitlin Chookagian? You know, Caitlin's only been stopped by the best, Andrade and Shevchenko. Other than that, everybody else had trouble with it. So I'm wondering, like, what is it that Amanda Ribas is going to do to show us that she's flyweight ready? Because she's not even fighting anybody else. She hasn't even fought too many other flyweights in the middle. So I don't know, man. Like, I'll take this fight because, you know, there's always that submission factor. You know, Amanda Ribas is what? Amanda Ribas is a black belt in jiu-jitsu? Amanda Ribas is a black belt in jiu-jitsu, and I think Caitlin's a brown belt, right? So it might get interesting on the ground. Amanda Ribas is going to be pressing because she's not going to want to fight on the outside. So I think she could walk through some of Caitlin's shots and try to make this an ugly fight to get it to the ground. But I could see Caitlin just, you know, throwing her off with some of those boxer tricks, moving side to side. Amanda Ribas has a very good straight jab down the pipe, but I think Caitlin's boxing is next level, and she won't get hit by many of those jabs, right? Just as an early look. But Amanda Ribas, she brought up some interesting things here. Hold on. She brought up some interesting stuff here about what she wants to do if it goes her way, right? Let's see. So she said if she was to get a victory, she wouldn't mind staying and challenging Valentina Shevchenko for the belt, right? Because she said, hey, if I get this win, maybe one more win after that, I'd be fighting for the belt against Valentina Shevchenko. I'd like to fight Rose. You know, that's a good fight too. But she said, imagine if this ends up being the fight. You know, she said, hey, Depends on the adrenaline. She's going to call out at the time. She said, if I'm being rational, I think I'd like to have one more fight before Shevchenko. So 2 fights, and boom, she could fight Shevchenko. Now, I know a lot of people don't like that, but it makes sense because if she beats the number 1 contender like Andrade did, it would put her there. But even then, she's being reasonable and said, hey, look, let's say I go in there and beat Chookagian convincingly. I'll still need to fight one more time. Just one more time, which would probably be like Tate Murphy winner, Manon or somebody like that. Then she would go on and fight Shevchenko. And it sounds crazy to a lot of people, but I like the energy. I like the energy, man, because you don't hear a lot of people saying that. Like a lot of the full-time flyweights in the division, when they get to 5 and 6, they start pumping the brakes. They're like, oh, let me pump the brakes. I don't want to leapfrog over anybody. This is one of the greatest fighters. This is a perfect fighter. This is Michael Jordan, right? So a lot of the full-time flyweights, they get to a certain level and they say, oh, I still need experience before I fight Shevchenko. But you're already in that level. It's like, you can get it. You can get that experience, but fight the right fights. But don't fight down and don't pull back now, right? Because y'all knew who the champ was in the first place when you got here, right? So for Ribas, it's all about cutting in line. Like, she ain't even here yet, but she said, look, if I fight Caitlin, I'll fight somebody else. I definitely cut line and give the champ a fight. And I like that energy. I like it because it's needed. Now, will she beat Shevchenko? I doubt it. But she's letting you know that, look, if I get 2 fights and win, that should get me where I need to be, right? That'll get me there, and I'll take that chance. Because she's actually going to be closer to fighting Valentina than she is Rose. Because Rose has her line. She's got Carla, Marina, possibly the winner of Andrade Lemos, possibly the winner of Weili Joanna again, right? So she's got her line is kind of packed up. Like, Ribas at strawweight is behind a lot of fighters, but Ribas taking a chance at flyweight could go her way if she beats Caitlin Chookagian. And that's a big if. That's a big if she can beat that number 1 fighter. I call her number 1 now because Andrade is pretty much down the strawweight now, right? So, yeah, Chookagian's number 1. So if she beats Chookagian, she'll be closer to fighting Valentina than she ever will be Rose at this point, right? If she waits for Rose, she probably won't be fighting Rose or the winner of Rose, Carla, for another 2 years, So she could be fighting Shevchenko in, beginning of 2023 or something, just by the way it looks. So I like the energy, man. I just like that energy that Ribas is bringing here, because I want to hear it from other fighters. But if she's able to map out a little plan, get 2 fights in here, and she wins, then she could get it. Let's see. She said, it was a very nice surprise. I thought I was going to go 7 months without a fight. Ended up getting a huge opportunity like this one. I'm even more focused on training and my diet. I want to make the best out of this opportunity. She's the number 2 ranked flyweight, and that's huge. I could really cut in line if I do a good job in this fight. I still think that I need one more fight, even if I win here. So, makes sense. Respect. Got to show respect for that. Wants to cut in line. Yeah, it's because you got to go for you, right? Cut in line all day long, man. Some of these other fighters, they don't want to do that, though. Let's say if she does beat Chookagian, who else could she fight? Like the winner of Viviana Araujo, Andrea Lee, winner of Tate Murphy. She wins convincingly. Boom, she could get Shevchenko next. Because I know Shevchenko wants, like, a different look. She wants a challenge, right? So, yeah, however it works out, it should be good for the game. Again, personally, I don't really like the fight. I am still, even though I like this talk, I am still leaning a lot towards Caitlin Chookagian in this fight. I think Caitlin just has a lot to offer in every department. Maybe not as much in jiu-jitsu, but I think Caitlin has enough to do what she needs to do to send Ribas back to 115. I'm sorry. Next up, let's see. Grasso calling out Jennifer Maia. So Grasso, she called out Jennifer Maia. I talked about it in the video. Grasso said, hey, I like Jennifer Maia. I like that fight. Very, I got respect for it. It'd be very, very good it'd be a very, very good challenge to take on Jennifer Maia. That would be big because she has a lot of experience, gave Valentina a tough fight. You know, she's an Invicta champion, black belt, boxing's good, and so on, right? Okay. Calls out Jennifer Maia, wants that fight. But it's like I said, though, and then after that says, you know, if she's able to beat Jennifer Maia, then maybe the UFC would let her get a title shot because she was assuming that, you know, they like fighters on 4-fight win streaks, right? Well, to me, I don't think it just comes down to the win streak. I think it comes down to who you're beating as well and how bad off that person you beat is as well, right? So it's not a matter of hating what Alexa Grasso is doing or hating on Alexa Grasso. It's just being real. Like, why call out Jennifer Maia? I know you say you want the experience. Fine. Yeah, she probably will give you some experience because you'll be an experienced fighting a bigger, stronger flyweight than JoJo and Macy Barber, somebody with a lot of skills. But will that big, strong flyweight, will they show up? Will they show up unlike they, well, let's say, will they show up? Because they didn't show up in the Chookagian fight. Didn't show up fully in the Manone fight. When, you know, shades in that fight. You know, Manone still got the victory 30-27, right? So Maia may have experience, but the thing is, will she be bringing the guns to the fight? Like, she's done a lot before, but what is it she's going to bring that's so detrimental to Alexa Grasso in this fight? Because to me, I'd be like, Alexa Grasso, if Alexa Grasso, I'd be like, man, Jennifer Maia's a good fighter, but she really hasn't been stepping up, and she's on a 2-fight losing streak right now. Like, can I gain anything from that? You know, is it really going to be worth it? Granted, it will if I'm not expecting the title shot yet. So if Alexa Grasso wants this fight, fine. I just don't want her to expect the title shot after this fight. Like, if she beats Jennifer Maia convincingly, still no title shot yet. No title shot because Manone already beat her. Manone already beat her first. Beat her the same night she beat JoJo. So this is good experience builder for Alexa Grasso. Fine. I'll take that. But after she beats her, still going to have to fight Manone or Taylor. If Taylor loses to Valentina, or you have to fight Tate Murphy winner. That's how I see it. You still have to fight another 2 fights. So that's why I say it's going to kind of prolong her way to the belt. But if that's what she wants, fine. Fighting Manone, though, calling out Manone would be a smarter move because if she wants to get to the belt, that's the better path. Because what happens, in my opinion, like when 2 fighters in the flyweight division fight on the same night, fighting different opponents, well, winner should fight the winner, right? That's how I see it. So that's a much better choice, you know, if you want to go for that belt next. Because, if she bring up the logic of getting the 4-fight win streak, to guarantee it, you should be calling Manone out as your 4th fight. That would get you maybe a title shot because Manone already defeated Jennifer Maia. Manone is seen as that next thing. Manone brings a lot of danger. She'll definitely test you. Like, she may not have the accolades that Jennifer Maia had in Invicta and all the stuff in the past, but the Manone now is pulling the trigger, right? The Manone now pulls the trigger. The Jennifer Maia now, it's not so much in there, you know, have you dodging bullets. Maybe here and there, but Manone is coming at you guns blazing. So that's what you need in this division right now. You need somebody that's going to test you, test your skills, test your heart, and see if you really have the killer instinct. Because if you can get by Manone, I think, and look good and maybe dominant, then that should prepare you more than a Jennifer Maia fight. Just because Jennifer Maia fought Shevchenko doesn't mean that's going to prepare you. Manone's not necessarily going to prepare you for Valentina either, but she's the fresher fighter. She's more the killer. She beat Jennifer Maia again, right? So that's how I see it. I don't care about the past experience. I'm going by like a tournament bracket where it should be winner versus winner, right? Where the number 5 in Grasso should fight the number 6 instead of trying to take on the number 7 or number 8, wherever Maia is, right? I think everybody should agree with that, you know, because they did what they're supposed to do, send the other fighters down, and to be the last man standing, you have to take on that next opponent that just climbed up almost as high as you, right? Makes sense. So I just would rather see Grasso in a fight with Manon because that's what makes sense. That's how we're gonna get closer to another uh, fighter that should be a good solid contender for Valentina Shevchenko. That's what I think. I'll probably do this in another video, but Manon talked a little bit about in an interview where she called out Alexa Grasso. So again, that's evidence there that Manon wants the best. Like Manon's number 6, she's climbing in rankings. Number 5, can't get Caitlin Chookagian because she's fighting Ribas. She said, "Give me Grasso." She said, "Grasso, I feel like I'm a better wrestler. I got better striking. I want to fight her." Right? It makes sense. Manon said, "Look, let me get Alexa Grasso in July, and if Caitlin gets by Ribas, let me get Manon." Manon said, "Let me get Caitlin Chookagian in September, October. Then we'll talk Valentina." So she wants a little bit more of experience herself, but that's what you got to do. Fight up. Fight the best. So I think Grasso should do the same. I know Grasso would still be fighting down by fighting Manon, but let's be honest, they're both on the same path and on that same bracket because Manon did beat Jennifer Maia, who beat JoJo already, right? So really they're in the same. They're right there, neck and neck to me. They're both like maybe okay, Grasso's 6'5", but they're side by side. They're side by side. So the fight needs to happen, right? So yeah, guys, let me know what y'all think. Something I'll be talking about a lot. Like I said, if I repeat stuff over here, because we just talk, and I find different points to cover whenever another fighter, discusses it, and people ask me, I'll talk about it, right? So let me know in the comment section what y'all think, though. Let's see. Moving on to fight week. Last couple things I want to talk about here in this episode. Moving on to fight week. DLR versus Barber. I've already done my prediction and everything by the time of this recording. It's already out there. Not really going to go in here and break it down, but I just wanted to kind of discuss Macy Barber. Has Macy Barber, has she found her flame? Well, no, she's always had the flame. Let's put it another way. Like, has she found her right stomping grounds that can help her build as a fighter? Help her improve as a fighter. Is Macy Barber going to improve as a fighter, do you think? Let's see. Macy Barber recently talked about De La Rosa. She went as far as to say her wrestling and her grappling was better. She said, "I'm a better wrestler. I'm a better grappler than Montana. I'm going to break her. She's she can be broken," and she said, "I can do that." She wants to finish her. So Macy's she's talking high right now, but everybody knows talk doesn't get you a win. So you gotta go in there and perform, and then we'll go back and give you the props for what you said if you can execute, right? Let's see. De La Rosa had this to say. I didn't really talk about what she had said. She said, "I think the reach advantage is going to be huge." She said, "I think she has trouble finding." This is Montana talking about Macy now. She said, "I think she has trouble finding her own range. I think I'll be able to keep her at distance and kind of take the fight where I want it to go. If that means staying farther away and jabbing her or getting in close, I think I'll be able to do whatever I want at that point. I'm 100% always looking for the finish. I don't like going in there leaving it to the judges. That never works out. So if I'm in there, I'm 100% trying to finish you." Okay. So Montana always looking for a finish. I know I'm picking her by decision, but because, you can always look for the finish, but if it don't come, you can, still beat a person up, right? If they last. So Montana pretty much mentioned some of the points that I brought up. Her jabbing, keeping the fight at a distance, or going on the inside and, getting this fight to the ground. That's going to be her big key to victory. Like I said, keeping this fight to the ground, because her wrestling and grappling is better than it's definitely better. It's definitely better than Macy Barber, in my opinion. So yeah, I don't know though, man. I really want to know what Macy Barber's been improving on though. Like, what is Macy Barber like? What has she improved in that's going to make her dangerous? I don't know, man. We'll see. But let's see. Montana Del Rosa says she's always looking for a finish. That's going to make this fight even more interesting, though, because she'll be wide open. Barber's looking to break her. She'll be wide open then. Somebody's getting hurt in this fight. I almost want to change my pick to submission win for Montana or Macy Barber knockout. I'm really kind of in that mode, but I think Montana's going to win because I think Montana has more skill sets. That's one of the that's one of the things I say I favor over Macy, but anything can happen because, like I said, Macy has a little bit more dog and she's a little bit more raw, has more natural abilities. She likes to pull the trigger more. Montana does too, but not enough. Like on the feet, she doesn't pull it enough. And I really wouldn't suggest Montana trying to trade or trying to strike too long. She needs to get it fight to the ground where she gets her finishes, right? But we'll see, y'all. Y'all let me know what y'all think. Like I said, I'm going with Montana. Lemos and Andrade. Look, Lemos Andrade. Whew, this fight is going to be crazy. This fight is going to be crazy. Lemos and Andrade, look. This is the biggest test to date for Amanda Lemos. Amanda Lemos, I know she's got a lot of pressure on her here. This is a 5-round fight. This is a main event. This is a main event against one of the toughest fighters in WMMA today. One of the best resumes in WMMA, Jessica Andrade. So Lemos has a work cut out for her in this fight. I mean, it may seem like it's a lot. It's a lot of pressure, but is it like a difficult puzzle to crack? Not really. It really isn't if you have the focus and you have those basic tools like I talked about in another video, right? Amanda Lemos has everything that she needs to beat Jessica Andrade, in my opinion. She has everything that she needs. See, there's a difference between the energy you feel like when an opponent goes in against Andrade and the way an opponent feels against Shevchenko, right? Like, the energy I feel like when somebody's going to fight Valentina, it's almost like, well, good luck. You know, we'll see what you can do, right? Because it's always like, okay, does this person even have a chance? Like, what are they going to do, right? But when it comes to Andrade, it's like, we know certain fighters have skills that can pick her apart and you can win, right? There's a few different ways to beat Jessica Andrade. Blueprint is out there. We just know that when she gets her hands on you, it can be over just like that. It can be over just like that. But for this fight here, it's like, it's got me hyped. Definitely worried about Amanda Lemos, but definitely a lot more confidence with Lemos beating Andrade over Taylor Santos beating Valentina. Like, Taylor has a good chance now, but Lemos has a bigger chance to beat Andrade because she has certain tools that can shut Andrade down, right? The number one tool I talked about in the video a few days ago, the jab. J-A-B, that jab, right? Putting that jab in the face of Andrade can definitely get you a victory. And that's all you really need, because that jab, and I'm not just saying that jab is the only thing that you need to keep doing, but no, use that jab right. Use it with feints. Use it with head movement. Use it to the body. Use it to the chest. Other opportunities open up, right? Like when you see Tanisha Tennant in there using her jab, it's opening up body kicks. It's opening up head kicks. You know, she's slicing through her opponent. You know, it's opening up right hands. And that's what I mean when I say use the jab. You know, you want to use that jab to set up everything else. You don't want to lead with right hands against Andrade. You know, throw that jab to set up right hands. You know, blinder and a rangefinder. That's what I always call the jab, right? So that alone, like I can say, that's a weapon. Then you got to think about the person with the better IQ when it comes to boxing and their stand-up. Who has better angles? Who cuts the octagon off better as far as, you know, just step to the side using lateral movement? That's Amanda Lemos, right? We just know what happens when you fall asleep against Andrade. It can get ugly, very ugly, very, very ugly, right? So Rose, again, like Rose goes in with Andrade, she can have another chance to beat her, but we know how ugly it can get if she gets her hands on you, right? But again, whenever you're an opponent going there, Valentina, it's like, okay, the slams and the beatdown might not be as like aggressive, but there's still like a point where just like, okay, it's almost hopeless sometimes, right? Because that's what Shevchenko level is. But Andrade is more of like a big scare. But as long as you can like hit those weak points, you're good. And I think Lemos has a lot of the, I think she has more than enough in her arsenal to get it done. It's all about the focus though, man. It's all about the focus though. Because when you lose focus, that's it. Andrade's got you. And Andrade, believe me, she's not going to stop for 5 rounds. So you got to stop her inside 5 rounds, right? I think Andrade, she's going to just be her. Like, we don't even really talk about Andrade in this fight. You know what I mean? Because it's like Andrade, we know what she's bringing. We know what Jessica's bringing. Whereas Amanda Lemos, this is her first go round against this type of an opponent. So everybody's asking questions what she's going to do. So I can't help but answer. We know what Andrade's going to do. We know what she's going to bring to the table. And if you let her, she will. Right? So I'm not giving you my pick yet. I'll give you my pick tomorrow, Friday. I'll do it separately. You know what? Forget it. No. I'll save it for tomorrow. I will save it for tomorrow. It'll be Friday. I know I'm waiting to the last minute on this one, but I'll go ahead and drop it early tomorrow because I'm gonna go ahead and put this episode out ASAP when I get off of here. Yeah, get off this mic. But yeah, that's pretty much all I got on this episode, y'all. Talked about a few things, like I said, I just want to run through a few different things, talk about Tecia Torres, what she needs to do moving forward. Everything from that just to what's going on in flyweight, strawweights, all of that. So yeah, guys, that's all I got on this episode. Final thoughts. The game is evolving. WMMA is evolving, and the more and more, the fighters start picking up new tools, new weapons, and sharpen up more in their arsenal. You got to start. Riding with it, and this goes out to the older fighters and even the younger fighters that just want to do one thing. You got to have more in your belt, right? You got to have more in your belt, and I think the more you have in your belt, the better off you are. I mean, you can always have your specialty, but you still need to have certain things that you are good at. Nobody said got to be the best, but you have to be good, and you have to have an understanding at certain things. Like, even if you have a good certain understanding of certain basics, that'll help you understand what your opponent is trying to do. Like, if you have a good understanding of boxing, it might not be the best. At least you can understand what your opponent is about to do, who is a good boxer, right? Or a good striker, a Muay Thai fighter, right? Might not be the best Muay Thai fighter, but if you have understanding, you'll know what that Muay Thai fighter across from you is about to do, right? That's all I'm saying. So, yeah, guys, make sure y'all subscribe. iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, Tuned In, all of that. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, Combo Breaker 99. Always enjoy talking to y'all on these live streams, for sure. And yeah, guys, definitely be coming back with another episode ASAP after fight night. I'm gonna try to get this next episode recorded early, right after the day right after the fight, because we got a lot of fights going down. So yeah, guys, wow. I'm looking on Snapchat. They got the fight on Snapchat, the combate fight. That's how global this fight is, man. I'm viral. That's how viral this fight went. Let me see. Let me click on it. Maybe y'all can hear it. You can hear her arm snap. This is on Snapchat. Let me see if I can play it back. Hold on, y'all. Let me play it back. Wait a minute. Come on. Wait a minute, y'all. I'm holding y'all up. Hold on. Come on. Where is it? I gotta flip back through it here. Combate ain't no joke right now. Yeah, they're on Snapchat here. They just posting this thing up. Summer snaps Galindo's arm. Wow. See that, it's already a few weeks old, and I just happened to pull up Snapchat, and there it was right for this episode, right? Convenient. Here it is.
Now Irlanda, this is where she wants it. This is her bread and butter. She needs to watch out. Look at that arm.
Made a mistake there.
This is the arm bar.
Irlanda needs to pull it out.
Wow, lots of punches loosened up.
This is the other arm bar attempt. Here's the triangle attempt. And here comes the Kimura.
It's tight now.
Oh.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, wow.
Summer snapping the arm of
Oh.
Galindo. Oh my. The big overhand right.
Sorry, I can't get over that one. That one was a crazy shot, yo. that was a crazy, hold on. Yeah, that was crazy. Couldn't really hear the snap in it, I know. But yeah, I just wanted to play that back for y'all guys before I get up out of here. But that's all I got, y'all. Let me roll. Combo Breaker 99. I'm out. See y'all at the fight night. Subscribe. Peace.